Stop having more children than you and your partner or whatever can fucking maintain. I am so sick and tired of watching parentified children. I took my kids to Chuck E. Cheese yesterday. We were in there for about 3 hours. 3 hours between games and eating or whatever. 3 hours, right? I saw this little boy in there and he was watching his younger sibling. It was multiple kids in there who was in the same boat, but this one little boy, because he looked so fucking sad, it just pissed me off. The little boy couldn't be more than 10. He couldn't be more than 10. So he's still at an age where he would have thoroughly enjoyed Chuck E. Cheese. The entire time I was in there, I didn't see a fucking parent in sight. Just the little boy and what was like a 1, maybe 2-year-old little girl. So instead of being able to play the games that he wanted to play, he's chasing around a fucking toddler. He is chasing around a 1-year-old. The little girl is throwing herself on the floor, screaming, "Mommy." And do you think mommy fucking shows up? Do you think mommy showed up? No, I don't know. There was a lady that was asleep on the fucking, in one of the tables. I don't know if that was the fucking mom or not, but I wanted to wake her up and be like, "Hey, is that your fucking baby?" Because in the 3 hours, I did not see that little boy play one fucking game he wanted to. He got on like one of them little, like the little fucking things that went like this, the little cars or whatever. Anything that he was playing is something that that fucking 1-year-old wanted to play. And people, I know people gonna be like, well, that's just his sibling. Like, he should, what's wrong with watching your sibling? It's Chuck E. Cheese. He's there to have fun. And then this is the shit that really pisses me off, because I know that parent gonna turn around and try to guilt that little boy. If that little boy ever be like, well, I didn't get to have fun, or I don't ever get to have fun. And be like, we just took you to Chuck E. Cheese. What do you mean you don't get to have fun? We just took you to Chuck E. Cheese. But the entire time that he was in there, he was being a fucking parent. He's doing the same shit I'm doing. Chasing behind them. What game do you want to play? What game do you want to play? Okay, let's go play this game. Every once in a blue moon, I get to hop into a game. I get to assist. But I'm not there having fun. I'm there so that they're having fun. And that little boy was not having any fucking fun. You could just see it in his face. That poor baby looks so goddamn sad. Stop parentifying your fucking kids. And this is why I always talk about people that have a gang of fucking kids and talk about like the older kids can help. The older kids did not choose to be a fucking parent. You did. So if you cannot manage all them fucking kids, don't have them. It's so simple. Don't have them. Because how are you going to take your kids to Chuck E. Cheese and then the poor baby can't even play? I'm telling y'all, that shit irritated me so fucking bad last night. The whole time I'm just like, because that little girl, adorable. But she was running him ragged. She was, oh my God. She was zoom. Like, that poor baby, she done kicked her shoe off. He had her shoes in his pocket. He had her shoes in his pocket. That baby was on the fucking floor throwing tantrum after tantrum for 3 hours. No parent in fucking sight. I slapped this. Ooh.
Welcome back, beautiful souls. Welcome. You know what, I really had to jump in here because listening to this video really and truthfully set my anxiety on edge. Like, that poor child. And I come across this so often as a child, being an older child and then being friends with other older children and just seeing mums in particular running these kids into the ground, then wondering why their child becomes a doormat for a man, or, you know, for friends, and you can't tell them nothing because the child harbors resentment for the way they were brought up. It's absolutely made me feel proper sick for that poor child. Like, there's no end in sight unless someone steps up and takes from the mum and says, what the F are you doing to your kid? When you wonder why, when you see some kids and they're just miserable and they become bullies and they just look so pessimistic and they just see the bad in everything, it's because of parents like this. Absolutely disgusting. It just reminded me so much of being the eldest and coming home and having long list of jobs and chores, and it's to you to do this, and I'm looking to you to do that. And it just like, does it ever end? Oh yeah, she's a good one. Oh yeah, she'll do it. No, I don't want to friggin' do it. You do it. And the thing what got me was when my siblings became the age that they're supposed to do the jobs I was doing at that age. What happened? Nothing. You have to continue while they're living the life of Riley. Oh no, I hold a lot of resentment for stuff like that. So much, even to the point now, me and my mum, we don't even talk. Like, and I'm not even bothered. And the funny thing is, when I was on my healing journey, I've realized it's because of childhood like this why I realized I feel bad saying no. I had an issue with boundaries, like, putting boundaries up and sticking to them. And I just felt drained and tired all the time. And it's because of stuff like this. And what really used to really pee me off was when I got older and I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to have a day in bed, like, I'm not working today or whatever. And then she'd be kicking off downstairs. Oh, she's not done this and she's not doing that, just laying it. Yeah, I am laying in my bed. What are you going to do about it? Don't know. But yeah, poor kids. I know I'm ranting here. And I promise I have, burned and released all this, but it's still, the memory is still there. Like, you know what, maybe I have to do a bit more work. But it's just so unnecessary. It's just unnecessary trauma. Pull your weight. If you can't do all that work, why do you expect a kid to do it? But you think the kid's going to be bored too? But anyway, I've got a few more videos, so I'm going to put them in. And I think I'll leave it for now for this. So I won't be coming back after this. But, guys, just be mindful. If you've got kids and, I know it's tiring, it is hard, but just be mindful. Give them a break. Let them do things. I give my daughter money and I'm like, go off and leave your brother. You don't need, it's not your job. But, they're just the two of them and they're really close. And there's not much she wants to do without him. But even over the past, they had a week off school. I said, yeah, take this money and go up to the fair, call your friends. My mum might have, I don't even know if she wouldn't really have wanted to do that. But I made it a fact that you're going to do this and you're going to have time for yourself. So yeah. But thanks a lot, guys. I'll stitch the next videos. Just be mindful. And if you've been through this, burn and release that crap now.
You the oldest daughter? Guess what? I already know 3 things about you. 1, you're hyper independent. 2, you attract people who need to be fixed. And 3, you are completely and undeniably exhausted. And look, it's not just a social media trend. Psychologists are calling it parentification. That word was a mouthful, but from a very young age, you weren't allowed to just be a kid. You were the mediator, the second parent, and the emotional anchor for the other adults in your house. And because of this, your brain hardwired itself to believe that love is something you have to earn by being useful. You cannot heal by continuing to play manager for people who cannot manage themselves. Listen, I need you to resign from this job that you never even applied for.
Husband, not her son. My brother and I were her husbands. We were meant to take care of her feelings, her emotions. She leaned on us, she vented to us. Things we should have never known as children, we knew. Everything in her relationships that were going on with friends, our stepdad, our biological dad. We knew every transgression that happened in the house. And we always heard our parents arguing, and they would argue in front of us or in the house, but behind a closed door. So we really never ever felt safe emotionally or supported. And that was the frustrating part. And that's where I feel like my childhood was robbed from me. And that's what led to no contact. And a lot of what I'm trying to unpack is still to this day, my mom leaned on us so much for emotional support that it's very hard for me to hear people's, it's almost compassion fatigue, right? I spent my whole life taking care of my mom. Once we started driving, we would take her to doctor's appointments. She was in and out of the hospital because I think of anxiety and trauma, but she just never faced it. And oftentimes, there was a lot of verbal abuse that happened as we got older. My mom would sleep 15, 20 hours a day. And she would come out randomly and yell at all of us, my brother, my dad, and myself, that the house wasn't clean or something crazy was going on. And then she would just go back to sleep. She was like in a daze, which I totally have compassion for, because obviously she was struggling mentally. So these are things that led up to me going no contact that a lot of people don't understand. That I was parentified from a young age to take care of my mom, to take care of her needs, and never put my needs first. So as I got older, the verbal abuse continued on. I was always responsible for taking care of her, or if I didn't really react the way that she wanted me to, it was being yelled at. I remember going to therapy one time with her, and the goal for us to go to therapy, my brother and I, was for her to have the therapist tell us how disrespectful we were and everything else. And that ended with the therapist saying, hey, you know what? If you keep acting this way, your kids are going to go no contact because you're putting too much responsibility on them. It's not their role to take care of you. And while that was validating, my mom got up, yelled at the therapist, and started to run out of the office and then fell down the stairs. It was the craziest event that happened. But these are things that led to the no contact. There were decades of this going on. We were put into roles that we should have never been put in. And I know a lot of you guys are in those roles as well. So I want you to know, if you were put in those roles, it was never fair. And I know you have to climb out of this, but you can climb out of it. And you've got this. I hope that you're healing and you're finding your way. I love you.
No, that's actually, stop getting pregnant. You always pregnant. You don't watch no kids. Why do you keep having kids?
So, we need to talk about this because it's way too common and honestly disgusting. Some moms keep having babies they can't take care of, and instead of stepping up, they dump the whole responsibility onto their oldest daughter. And the family will gaslight her, stay in a child's place, while also expecting her to act like a second parent. That is parentification, and it is abuse. These women love the attention of being pregnant, love having a newborn, but when the real work starts, suddenly their child becomes the built-in babysitter. Meanwhile, the actual adult who chose to have these kids checks out. If you can't raise the children you already have by yourself, you don't need more. Period. Your kids are your responsibility, not your other children, not your family, not the teacher, nobody but you. And you already know what happens. The oldest daughter hits 18, goes no contact, and the mom is stuck because she can't dump the parenting on her anymore. This behavior is selfish, it's harmful, and it needs to be called out every time. Parentification is not help, it's abuse. Let's stop normalizing it.